So what did one parent say to the other parent? Let's go to 5-star and get CarPlay radios installed in our teenage kids' cars today. Consequently, it's Jeep. I know, right? What are the odds of that? What we're doing in this, CarPlay radio, another 1330 Pioneer, and a backup camera. We are going to do the EchoMaster Jeep Cam. For those of you that want the part number, it is the PCAM JP2N. This Jeep Cam here, it's this cool metal bracket like here, and the whole idea behind it is for this piece here to stick out of the tire right here. So in order to do that, we need to pull these 3 bolts, get this tire off, get the camera in. Other than that, same parts we're always using a Jeep, 95, 65, 11. We're gonna use a pack wiring harness, I don't know which one yet, and an antenna adapter. Rock on. First things first, let's go in the back, let's get that tire off. This camera mounted. Sounds like fun. Let's get going. So there's been an update to this kit from the previous videos we've actually installed this in. What they've done is they've actually provided now a push nut so that when we slide this into the back of the car, normally there's this piece of plastic you peel up, which we'll show you, and this slides into and the plastic goes back on. But I guess to make it a little bit more secure, they've given us one push nut so we can help to lock this in place. Otherwise, we have, this is the camera they use in the kit, which is the PCAM 220 instructions. Now this camera has a sticker on it showing which way is going to be up. Other things this camera has is parking lines and mirroring. What that means is we'll go ahead and power this thing up real quick because we want to turn off parking lines because the radio actually has active parking lines that we can adjust at the radio. So let's go ahead and get this guy powered up. It comes with the lines default on. These guys right here. We want to turn those off, so we'll go ahead and pull these out. So it shows that these are cut, so we should be able to just twist these back together. Usually I have to cycle the power on and off. Alright, so now the backup lines are gone. We just need to solder this up and put a little heat shrink over it. Now the other thing is the mirrored option. So if you're going to use this specific camera, let's say at the front of the vehicle, that's why it has that. Otherwise you just want to leave it cut the way it is so that it'll look the right direction. Tuck these 2 white ends back into that. And we'll go ahead and re-shrink their shrink wrap. Alright, so we're good. Now what we want to do is insulate this cable. We're going to start with 1 winding of the exterior Tessa tape. And then once we're at the end, we'll go ahead and wind it back in the opposite direction. And we'll go ahead and cover it in some 1/2 inch. So there we go. Now we have the camera looking a lot nicer. This is going to hold up to the exterior a lot better than just a little tiny 1/8 inch wire. Now right here, this is that cool plastic sheeting I was talking about. Just kind of peel that forward a little bit. It's going to slide in behind it. Just like that. Now we have the cool lock washer. Go ahead and just push that on. I gotta be honest with you, I really don't think it did much, but whatever. So on this side over here is this cool rubber grommet. We're gonna wanna run our camera wire through there. So go ahead and pull that off. Put this through here. Now we're gonna go ahead and cut a hole through this so that we can run these through. Open the door and get to the inside. Just need to remove this piece here. Now what we want to do is put some of the 3M drip caulk here into this little grommet so that we don't get any water or anything like that into this rubber. Now the nice thing about this stuff here is that it's going to stay pliable. If we ever need to pull it out, it will come out. It'll be a little gooey, but it'll still come out and it will do its job. Let's go ahead and throw the tire back on. Now that we have this all set and ready to go, what we need to do is prep the rest of the cable to go through the car. We can't fit it through this braiding. We're going to put another piece of flex on ours so it looks as factory as possible. So let's head over to the bench. In the area of the hinge there where this is going to be, it's going to get obviously a lot of movement. So we're just going to go ahead and put another layer of exterior Tessa tape on them. And then we're going to add flex. Now, just like any other camera install we do, now we're gonna go ahead and cover this in 1/8 inch loom. All right, let's get it over to the car. What we're gonna do now is put some shrink wrap over this, zip tie this in, and start running it. To get the radio to fit in this dash, this top area here needs to be removed. So along there, cross there, basically that line right there. Because what happens is if you try to put it in, it's gonna push up on this because this is just sticking down too far. Now, the other problem is this silly metal brace in the back. Like you've seen us take it out in the more modern Jeeps. This one also needs to come out. This one is 10 times harder. There's an 8mm bolt there. There's another one on the opposite side. There's some push ties that hold in these wiring harnesses that need to come out. So you got to get all that removed. Then cut this, then we get to use these.
Yeah, don't forget it to 7mm on top, right here too.
All right, let's cut the dash. All right, so now that you have the dash cut, we're gonna go ahead and pull this out like this. We're gonna take some big ass bolt cutters and we're going to cut the middle of this out. Now turn it. There you go. Cut the bottom one. And that is how you get this stupid metal bracket out. It's a pain in the butt, for sure. There's no question about it. And the reason why you have to remove it is because the hole is, we've seen people push the radios into these. That's fine if you want to, but I'd much prefer not to because the hole is literally like 1/8 of an inch too small. It's just easier to do it that way. Now on to the rest of this. Building the kit, putting in the Bluetooth mic, all the fun involved in that. So for this Jeep install, we're gonna use the LCCH21 from PAC. It's a 4, not an 8, and some of you guys might go, wait, what did I miss? That's okay. We've talked about it a lot on the show. Some of you guys are new. We'll cover it real quick. If it has a normal stereo, meaning radio, 4 speakers. On the harness, you're gonna have your standard 4 speaker wires. Whites, grays, greens, purple. And they're gonna actually go off to the speakers and play the speakers. Makes total sense. In an amplified system, there's just a left and a right that come out of the radio. That means that because it has an amplifier, obviously the sound from the amplifier is going off to the speakers. The radio is just feeding into that amplifier left and right signal. How it does it is it does it from the output where the rear speakers would be located. So if you just hook it up without looking, you know, your 4 wires, your gray, white, green, purple, what's gonna happen is the rear output of the radio is going to be powering up this amplifier, which in some radio manufacturers could be an issue. And the reason why is because like on the Pioneer we're getting ready to put in, the Bluetooth for phone audio, meaning like when you're making a phone call, comes through only the fronts. It doesn't come through the rears. So now what happens is when you go to get a phone call, you hit talk and you start talking, you can't hear them. And you're like, well, what the heck's going on? That's because you're feeding it the rear signal. If you just simply switch the wires, you wouldn't have that issue. So what we do is on our harness, we go ahead and pull out all 8 of the wires and we move the whites from this side to this side. So now we have the fronts feeding into that signal for the amplifier. Our Bluetooth will work the way it's supposed to. Now, just like the last car, this is built off of an older technology. So the 3 magic wires, which are the green, the red, white, and the purple, are not gonna do what we're hoping they can do. But unlike the last car, they're a little bit easier to move around. So we'll go ahead and get to those 3 wires. So we're not gonna be using the red, white, so we'll go ahead and pull that from the harness. The red, white, just like the last car, is the emergency brake. We're going to push down the pin on the purple, white, and then reopen it. And then go to where our green is. Purple, white, if you forgot, it was VSS. Go to where our green is, which is the 3rd from the end. Go ahead and push that in. Remove that. Insert our purple, white wire, and you're back in business. Now, if you wanted to use the emergency brake and you wanted it to match green for green, you could just go ahead and move this green to where the red, white was, and you'd be back in business. Now, the other thing about this harness, unlike the last harness, is we got this cool sticker right here. We've talked about this on the LCs. This is a 1 amp output, which is not enough to power a camera and the radio. So we need to add a relay to this so that we can do both. We're not doing steering wheel controls, so we can go ahead and remove that harness off of here. So now all we need to do is add a relay. All right, so the output going to our new accessory is going to be 30. There's numbers on this relay. So 30, 85 is going to be our ground, 86 is going to be our trigger from the box, meaning our old accessory, and then yellow is going to go to 87. Now, we also went ahead and added in our output to feed our backup camera. So we have an accessory in ground that's going to power that up. All right, now we have the Pioneer harness, and we are not going to be using the purples and greens, so we can go ahead and pull those out. And we're not going to be using the mute wire, which is the yellow black. Those wires we're just going to go ahead and cap off right now. And in case you haven't figured it out at this point, anytime you have a factory premium Chrysler sound system and you buy something like a high-end radio that has, let's say, time correction or spatial correction or anything like that, it's not gonna work on that factory amplifier. If you want to use those features, you have to get a new amp. All you're gonna be able to really use is just the basic EQ. No, so that leads us with is the same colors that match up here. Just like before, we have black, ground, yellow, memory, purple, white is reverse. Blue, white is amplifier turn on, red is accessory, orange, white is illumination, green is parking brake, gray, black are going to be passenger speaker, white, black is going to be driver speaker. We're just going to solder these right onto here and be done with it. The harness is soldered up. I'm gonna wait for this to cool a little bit. The antenna we're gonna use is a BAA22, so we have that. Now what we wanna do is, just like we always do when we have one of these cool 6511 kits, is sand it so that it'll fit in the truck and not look terrible. And there again, if you guys haven't caught us do one of these, amazing, but if you haven't, what we're going to do is on this area right here, we're gonna sand this area flat with this area. So we're gonna take this down to here. It'll allow us to bring the radio in closer, and then we will make these holes a little bigger so that because it's gonna slide in further. All right, let's head over to the car and get this stuff put in. Settings, backup camera.
All day.
Ready? Alright, backup camera looks like it's crooked.
Right there, right there.
Alright, so we got our phone plugged in. We're gonna test CarPlay real quick. What's the weather like today?
It's currently partly cloudy.
All right, so that's the best test to do because that allows you to test the microphone, make sure it's connecting to the internet. We have no steering wheel controls here, so we don't have to worry about calling. Otherwise, we would call. Go ahead and throw it in reverse for me. All right, awesome. Let's go take a look at the backup camera. So that's what the camera looks like once it's mounted in place. Blends in pretty nice. Hey, there I am. Hi. All right, we're gonna go ahead and call this one done. We're gonna pull our seat covers out of here, get our light out, get this out to the customer. They gotta get to work. It's nice to have teenagers at work. Yeah.
On to the next.
He likes to whisper.